The Heavenly Demon. Can't Live a Normal Life. By Sanchin. Chapter 295. Going Down in History. Part 1. Alexander's eyes intensified as he read the invitation letter. He sensed his anger gradually boil to the extent it became impossible to control as he read down the words. Dmitri hereby announces that the aura manifestation, created by Alexander, the Emperor of Kronos, is fundamentally flawed. Thus, we would like to take this opportunity to re-establish how the aura is used and present a new direction to the swordsmanship of Salamander. We gladly hope you will partake in the historical moment with Dmitri. He had the face of the devil once he finished reading. A rage of fury had masked his face. The aura was Alexander's masterpiece. And he refused to let someone defame and humiliate before the world. If only he were a martial artist from Murim, or at least someone who had known martial arts, Alexander could have lived a different life from now. He wouldn't have had the reason to accept the mysterious force and would have conquered Salamander with one sword like the great ones he admired. The people were blind to the truth. They would never understand why Alexander, Aura's creator, had abandoned his path as a pioneer and became a mage. Truth be told, it wasn't simply because of the aura's limits. Alexander, who presented the aura for his political leverage, instantly gained all the power and wealth he could ever dream of after being recognized as the new leading power. Unfortunately, it also marked the beginning of his downfall. Alexander had no rival when he first created the aura. However, there were just too many prodigies on Salamander. They quickly mastered their aura without Alexander's help and began developing new methods, improvising through their studies and research. In fact, the method Roman Dmitri once praised, manifesting one's aura through powerful explosion, was a fruit bore by the studies conducted by others, not Alexander. That was when Alexander realized it wouldn't be long before he would disappear from history. There was no room for a fool and a commoner like himself who had barely gained a reputation with the fragment of knowledge about Murim. His future was bleak. The chaos storming his mind drove him to apprehension, making his heart vulnerable to the devil's whisper. But now here was Roman denying all he had accomplished as the pioneer. Reminded of his painful past full of failures, Alexander ferociously cried out, "Roman Dmitri, do my accomplishment look so petty in your eyes, so much so that you have to deny even its very foundation?" He couldn't quite understand why Roman would do such a thing, host a demonstration. Unlike Alexander, who had no choice but to reveal the ways of the aura to seize the throne, Roman Dmitri had no reason to share his secret techniques. He would have never shared even the slightest information about his martial arts if he were in Roman's shoes. After all, he had his hands on a power that no one could ever acquire in this world. Possessing such power exclusively could give him countless advantages, and people would naturally learn to acknowledge his exceptional power even without a demonstration. Whether they liked it or not, people who pursued the aura would naturally be left in the dust, putting Roman Dmitri in an advantageous position as long as he preserved his knowledge. So why would Roman go through the hassle of showcasing a demonstration? For all these years, Alexander had treasured the words left by a third-rate martial artist, which he struggled to remember barely, but now here we had Roman Dmitri trying to share the secrets of Murim with everyone. Alexander couldn't understand. No, he refused to understand Roman. Plus, why would Roman Dmitri go far as to invite his enemy, the Kronos Empire, which was also home to the creator of the aura? Alexander had planned a scheme to send dozens of spies to discover the secrets behind Roman's power, but it appeared he had wasted his time. Words couldn't describe the emotions filling his heart when he realized Roman indifferently prepared a demonstration to surprise him. Shame, anger, jealousy. A mixture of every complicated feeling erupted inside Alexander's heart. At least he was certain about one thing: Roman was insolent, indeed. He had gone beyond just arrogant. Alexander had yet to learn who Roman Dmitri was in Murim, but the young Dmitri was undoubtedly making moves beyond the emperor's logic. Well then, I'll see what you will demonstrate before the world with my own eyes. Alexander would be among the crowd on the day of the monumental moment. Soon, the words about Roman's demonstration reached the Salamander Swordsmanship Society. The society members were greatly dismayed. "Look at this." Roman Dmitri not only dared to negate the works of the great Emperor Alexander but also sent us an invitation to his swordsmanship demonstration as if he were trying to ridicule us before the world. This is nonsense. The aura is the very root of this continent, thus, the people of Salamander truly revere Emperor Alexander as the founder of the aura, regardless of their nationalities. Not only that, but the aura is also the root of the continent's ranking system. So what on earth is Roman Dmitri thinking to organize a demonstration conference? That's right. This is a clear provocation and challenge to the Aura Knights. The people were furious. Like how mages had their own society, the Salamander continent had a swordsmanship society with its headquarters nestled in the heart of Kronos and several chapters in different states. The society was dedicated to promoting and developing swordsmanship. The Salamander Swordsmanship Society was an academic group that studied ways to develop swordsmanship through research and claimed rights for the Aura Knights, honoring the aspiration left behind by the first pioneer, Emperor Alexander. Sergei, the leader of the society, raised his voice. Roman Dmitri basically negated the aura. If we choose to sit in our hands while someone such as him hinders the root of the aura, it will be a matter of time before our society loses our voice. Gentlemen, this isn't a trivial matter. People are already praising Roman Dmitri for discovering a new realm with great anticipation after he defeated Kronos in the recent war. And trust me, the generations of our legacy will collapse if he succeeds in living up to their expectation even the slightest, he said. The authority of the Swordsmanship Society was on the line. The members who worshipped Alexander refused to sit in their hands. It won't be just the Kronos Empire but the entire Aura Knight system that will collapse when Roman Dmitri demonstrates proof to negate the teachings provided by Emperor Alexander. So, reach out to the chapters and emphasize how dangerous Roman Dmitri's plan is. And rebuke his messengers to discourage his plan. We will participate in the demonstration in person. And the moment we find even the tiniest flaw to his swordsmanship. Sergei lowered his voice. His fierce eyes reflected malicious intent. We will humiliate him before the world and crush his reputation for his absurd nonsense. Everything went as the society had planned. People who received its orders came onto the streets and spread rumors. Everyone, you must keep yourselves away from Roman Dmitri, a cult. According to the people of Dmitri, Roman Dmitri used to be nothing but a worthless trash who was so-called the dimwit Dmitri just a few years ago. But he somehow underwent dramatic growth and became formidable enough to defeat Hannibal in his war against Kronos. Do you think that's logically possible? Do you really think the new future he intends to demonstrate will stand as proof of his dramatic development? Blasphemy. Roman Dmitri intends to negate all the works Emperor Alexander had accomplished and steal all the credit for himself. The Society's chapters located in Kronos, Valhalla, Redford, Hector, and all other kingdoms, except Dmitri, raised suspicion about Roman. What Roman had accomplished was undeniably absurd. No one on Salamander even came close to what he had done. Even people like Ares, who were remarkably talented, had stories from their past to prove how they came to be. Either they were prodigies or had the background to support them. However, Roman Dmitri was different. Dmitri was a land known for its iron ore industry rather than swordsmanship, and their wealth had nothing to do with Roman's sudden, dramatic rise. Thus, people began to question his past. And it was only natural for people who praised the aura to backlash since his demonstration was an apparent attempt to undermine its very roots. Roman Dmitri must have gotten himself involved with some dangerous power. If not, how could we describe his dramatic and illogical growth? Plus, what about his subordinates? Chris was a knight who had made a name only in the outskirts, Kevin was nothing but a poor child from the slums, and his subordinates were nowhere near special. Nonetheless, they underwent the same dramatic growth as their leader. Self-improvement and talent always come hand in hand, but the way the soldiers in Dmitri improved themselves stands as proof that Roman Dmitri is using some dangerous power forbidden by nature. The people raised their voices to rebuke and ridicule what Roman had accomplished. Just one statement claiming that the roots of the aura were flawed was enough to enrage the public. Soon enough, the world began to doubt Roman as the swordsmanship society intended. The people wanted Roman to explain himself. And as his invitation stirred the world, concerns also rose within Dmitry. The people of Dmitry undoubtedly had their faith in Roman. They believed all suspicions would be cleared once the demonstration ended, no matter what others said of their leader. After all, they had directly benefited from the new system Roman developed. However, some within the dukedom grew concerned about the demonstration conference itself. They couldn't understand why their leader would want to share his valuable treasure with others, including the empires. The news about Lord Roman's swordsmanship demonstration conference is causing disorder across the continent. And yet, I don't understand why we must convince them. Lord Roman's skills are already verified, and all that is left for us is to prove to the world what he has accomplished in battle. I'm worried the demonstration would rather leak the essential information about his technique even if we succeed in redefining the aura, said Viscount Conrad. I concur. I believe Dmitry doesn't have to share our technology and techniques with others. The aristocrats raised their concerns, opposing the opinion. And as Roman calmly listened to their arguments, he recalled a memory from his previous life. The leaders of the demonic cult were appalled when he declared to partially open the demonic cult's martial arts after conquering Murim. But why? Why do you want to share our marital arts with the world? It's a risky decision. It will only open up a path for the enemies to master our marital arts to point their blades against us one day. Jung Heek-baek looked into the eyes of the leaders and asked, facing strong opposition. What are you afraid of? He asked. The leaders were stunned. Their shaking eyes were fixed on Jung Heek-baek as he continued. The future I desire isn't to rule this world with absolute control. Are you afraid our enemies would surpass us for only having partial access to our demonic cult? Remember this. We have conquered Murim, and we reign as its rulers. It also implies that we have become a common enemy to many. They will use every means possible to analyze us, no matter what we do, and will discover the secrets to the demonic cult's martial arts. That is why I intend to take the initiative and boldly open it up to the world. They will learn who reigns over them at the top of Murim. And through the information, they will take a step closer to the reality, which the demonic cult owns, he continued. The world was operated under the principle of the survival of the fittest. That was how nature worked, and no one could go against it. In other words, it would be too late to control what had already been lost if the demonic cult were to lose its power. Countless divine demons have come before me. They have lived the same life as I did and mastered the same martial arts, yet no one has accomplished what I've done. Thus, partially opening up the martial arts of the demonic cult to the world is a process of absolute conquest. The more people learn about us, they will inevitably learn to revere us. No one will dare try to challenge our realm, realizing that it isn't an achievement anyone can accomplish, he added. Those who knew the truth were inclined to play safe more than the ignorant. That was just how nature worked. The people knew Jung Heek-baek was a formidable martial artist but had yet to fully comprehend his true capability. Thus, opening up the demonic cult was a process to help people understand. The moment they took a step into the demonic martial arts, they would truly learn that the divine demon is a prominent figure that they couldn't even dream of challenging. Imagination was the beginning of all fears. And it was the information that led people to those imaginations. Jung Heek-baek intentionally set fire to the fear. He wanted people to learn how dangerous it was to dare challenge the demonic cult by studying the demonic martial arts. Engrave this onto your hearts. We succeeded in conquering Murim not because of the demonic martial arts but because we are strong. By allowing others to learn about our martial arts, we will keep ourselves from becoming negligent, stated Jung Heek-baek. Returning to the present. The aristocrats of Dmitry expressed their concerns before Roman. I intend to showcase only the basis of my technique during the swordsmanship demonstration. I will redefine the aura and smite the reputation Alexander has built over generations. This isn't something you should take lightly. Though many people still believe Dmitry's roots are from Cairo, Dmitry will establish the foundation for us to strive as one of the empires when we make history. Do you think you, who had just grasped the basics of my knowledge a few years back, could win against your current self, who has constantly improved over the years? This demonstration isn't a step to endanger the future of Dmitri but to lay the groundwork to establish a bright new future, a future to surpass Alexander's legacy, Roman explained. The foundation for a new future. Roman intended to unravel the truth to the ignorant so that they would learn to admire Dmitri, which would help Dmitri strive toward a better future. It's impossible to stop a future that will inevitably occur with human power. The aura will undoubtedly face a shift, thus, all I am doing is advancing the timeline so that Dmitri will be remembered as the new pioneer in history. Those who trail behind can never surpass us because they will only know partially. The full knowledge of the technique will remain in Dmitri. Roman was full of pride. He was confident the enemies would never be able to surpass him, even if they used spies to steal information. True dominance meant ruling over others with an overwhelming presence so that no one could dare think of rebellion, though holding the key to do so. I do not seek power for the sake of power. So don't be afraid to share what we have. We will design a completely new paradigm by revealing and opening up our lands, said Roman. He didn't hesitate to march forward while standing before the crossroads, as always. Instead of hiding, he chose to reveal his cards and subdue his enemies by sheer force. The aristocrats of Dmitri were at a loss for words at Roman's absurd remark. It was an idea no one could have possibly thought of. Chapter 296. Going Down in History. Part 2. Discount Conrad muttered with a perplexed look after Roman Dmitri left the room. Establishing the foundation for a new future by revealing. It didn't make any sense. The basis of the technique alone was already valuable enough to be praised as revolutionary, yet Roman didn't hesitate to reveal it to the world. Obviously, this was never for the sake of humanity. But the Viscount realized that Roman's reputation would inevitably be further solidified by showcasing it. He was utterly stunned. Roman Dmitri's confidence and his inconceivable arrogance left the Viscount bewildered. What would have happened to Viscount Conrad and the Northeastern Alliance if they had chosen to fight against Roman until the end when the tension escalated? They would have been obliterated from the face of this earth without a doubt. They only survived because Roman spared their lives and desired to build his own kingdom, the dukedom of Dmitri. If not, the Viscount would have been long dead, crushed, and annihilated. Shivers ran down the Viscount's spine at just the thought of it. Viscount Conrad couldn't say another word, knowing Roman wouldn't be swayed by mere aristocrats of the outskirts. It was Viscount Lawrence who broke the silence. We have to face reality from now on. The leader we serve isn't someone who will be satisfied with only small fractions of the land of the Northeast region, he said. Viscount Lawrence recalled when he first encountered Roman, the day the young Dmitri boldly entered his room to state he had no guilt for annihilating the blood bang. Since that day, the Viscount had somewhat realized that Roman Dmitri wasn't the dimwit everyone ridiculed him to be but a fully matured man with grand ambitions. Nonetheless, that didn't mean he recognized Roman's true potential as a supreme ruler back then. At least, now he knew what the young Dmitri was destined to become. Lord Roman stated he would demonstrate how to manifest one's aura gathered in the core during the demonstration. The world will be stunned. It will mark the beginning of a new swordsmanship revolution, and people all across the continent will begin to practice what originally belonged to Dmitri. What we should be concerned about isn't the change stirred by the aftermath. After all, no matter how strong they become, it will be impossible for them to surpass Lord Roman with only the basis. As a matter of fact, not even the Dmitri soldiers who had directly received his teachings will ever surpass him, Viscount Lawrence said. He had no doubts, for he had witnessed every step Roman had taken while serving Dmitri. Even if people were to understand the concept of using the core, it was practically impossible for them to bridge the power gap. Roman wasn't Alexander, who was the first pioneer but never the strongest swordsman. Contrary to the emperor, Roman had already reached a height no one had ever achieved, and those who had received his guidance learned to revere him as time passed. The deeper their knowledge became, the more they realized that Roman was more of a god than a human. We are in the course of making history. Our descendants will remember the day Lord Roman redefined the aura, and the change caused by him will prosper Dmitri just like how Alexander flourished Kronos. So, bear in mind that we must also increase our capabilities to survive as a member of Dmitri and build a reputation suited to be a part of this historic legacy. Viscount Lawrence calmly continued his remark. As the Viscount stated, the aristocrats of Dmitri would eventually fall behind and disappear if they failed to develop themselves and settled as mere members of the dukedom in the world where only the strongest survived. The bustling central plaza in Dmitri was flooded with people a few days later. It was crowded with various visitors from all across the country to attend the swordsmanship demonstration conference announced by Roman Dmitri. People gathered in the grand auditorium. King Umberto, who also used to be Marquis Drake, spoke up, sitting on the seat's first row. "I don't understand what Roman Dmitri is up to. Why would he want to reveal an aura technique he developed? If he had such an outstanding skill, why not keep it to himself? It's ridiculous how he even invited Kronos." "I can't help doubting his intentions," the king said to the people around him. It was an evident reaction. When the aura was first created, Kronos refrained from sharing its technique with other states and kept it to itself. Thanks to that, the empire swiftly established dominant influence across the continent. Only after several years did the information about the aura naturally spread over the continent. A typical person of rational mind would try their best to delay technology leakage, however, Roman did otherwise. He went as far as even to invite the Kronos Empire, an enemy, to the swordsmanship demonstration conference. The people from the empire settled in the back row. They attended the conference, even if it meant enduring the humiliation of not sitting in the front row. It's normal for people to doubt the intention of this demonstration conference. However, at least the Roman Dmitri I've experienced so far must have thought it wouldn't do any harm even if he revealed the new method, a method worthy of all the praise, to everyone here, said Edwin Hector. What do you mean? Not once did he withdraw when I encountered him on the South battlefield. Retreat isn't a word that can define him. He trounced my men in every circumstance, eventually leaving me no option but to surrender. That is the core of Roman Dmitri, a true leader born to dominate. Suppose he succeeds in smiting out Alexander's reputation through this demonstration. In that case, Dmitri will no longer be seen as a small dukedom from Cairo but home to a legend who redefined the aura system, Edwin explained. The situation was rapidly changing. Dmitri, a land of the northeast region that used to belong to a baron along the endless mountains, would soon earn the title as the land of a new pioneer, like how Alexander was praised and brought prosperity to Kronos. No one would be able to look down on Dmitri when that time came. And a formidable foundation would be established. That alone was highly symbolic for Dmitri. To be honest, I'm more terrified by how Roman Dmitri is approaching this. He must be confident nothing could hinder him even if he shares the information everyone still doubts. We might be the ones underestimating him. Perhaps Dmitri is already in a superior position to crush everyone on the continent, just like how Kronos overpowered us back when it first invented the aura, the prince continued. Silence overshadowed the leaders in the auditorium. Though allies of Dmitri, they couldn't help feeling revering Dmitri's development. Suddenly, the indistinct chatters gradually piped down. The time Roman Dmitri had promised had finally come. Roman recalled one person as he waited behind the stage. The man's name was Namgung Jinshin, who was believed to be the most competent prodigy of the Namgung family. He came to Zhenghik Bek one day and cried in a desperate voice. But why? Why are you trying to divulge the demonic martial arts to the world? Namgung Jinshin witnessed the fall of the Justice faction. He, who called himself the most robust blade of the Namgung family, was crushed against Zhenghik Bek. And his loss on that day was deeply ingrained into his mind. From that day on, Namgung Jinshin spent time secretly practicing the demonic martial arts. As one would say, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. He desired to learn everything about the demonic cult inside out, certain he could also become as strong as Zhenghik Bek by mastering the demonic martial arts, which was believed to be the basis of Zhenghik Bek's impregnable powers. Namgung Jinshin spent years mastering the martial arts. And when precisely 10 years had passed, he finally faced the bitter reality. It's not the demonic martial arts that was special, but it was Jung-Hik Baek, the divine demon, all along. The more he studied the demonic martial art, the deeper he fell into despair. The destructive power of Jung-Hik Baek's martial arts couldn't be explained even by those who were thought to be on a similar level as him. It was said no one came close to his powers in all of the demonic cult's history. Though many divine demons had reached the earth realm, no one had ever succeeded in conquering Murim other than Jung-Hik Baek. His powers were beyond the inconceivable. Only after realizing the bitter reality did Namgung Jinshin learn that not even himself, who was praised as one of the brightest prodigies of all time, could reach Jung-Hik Baek's level after centuries of training. So, he went to see the divine demon and desperately cried with a hopeless face. "You're no human. I've put my life into mastering the demonic martial arts for a decade, yet my powers don't even come close to yours. So why? Why do you desire to open the basis of the demonic cult to the world? Are you doing so, hoping people like me will be lost in endless despair after realizing the insurmountable gap?" he asked. Jung-Hik Baek gazed down at Namgung Jinshin, listening to his words. "Yes, that's my intention," he replied. "Defeat is like a mere dot in the course of history. People who weren't there to witness the utter chaos will eventually forget about the past and will grow to resent the demonic cult. That is why I chose to open it to the world, hoping people like yourself will study our martial arts and realize our remarkable achievements. Only then will they truly learn to fear me and the demonic cult. The fear will be deeply engraved into your bones and hearts to suppress you from rebelling against us even if we don't suppress you." Namgung Jinshin was startled. Jung-Hik Baek intended for people to study his demonic cult and experience it in person so that they would grow to admire and fear it. He didn't sound just arrogant but horrifying. However, there was nothing Namgung Jinshin could do or say because he was right. Namgung Jinshin had to accept the bitter and cruel reality. Standing before Jung-Hik Baek after a decade of practicing the demonic martial arts, he found the divine demon even more frightening than the day he destroyed the Justice faction. Never lose sight of that despair. I, Jung-Hik Baek, will gladly offer my life if someone far more formidable than me rises. But you will kneel before me and bow your head to my authority if you don't have the courage to overcome that despair. Remember that the demonic cult is the new ruler of the skies of Murim and that I, Jung-Hik Baek, the divine demon, will continue to reign above everyone." Jung-Hik Baek was right about everything. Not a single man dared to attempt a single rebellion until the day of his death in Murim. Roman walked up the stage, receiving the spotlight. No one could dare make a sound as they watched him stand before the crowd. And at last, Roman finally opened his mouth before the guests. "Alexander's approach is not only flawed but entirely wrong," he began. His opening remarks were compelling from the start. He grabbed the people's attention with assertion, showing no room to respect different approaches. Alexander says that one can manifest their powerful aura by erupting their mana with explosive force. However, it's unnecessarily inefficient. The eruption, Alexander explains, is a complete, unorganized mess. And we all know that a mess implies inefficiency. So that leads me to the question, why haven't a single one of you ever thought of questioning Alexander's approach? Is it because he is the creator of the aura? Or is it because of peer pressure afraid to go against the norm? Whatever the reason, you have all failed to see through a simple problem, Roman continued. He obviously didn't know who Alexander was yet. However, he knew the emperor wouldn't have developed such an inefficient method centered around the concept of eruption if he were a martial artist. Thus, he belittled the creator as foolish and insignificant. Roman didn't hesitate to express his genuine thoughts, thinking Alexander would be in the crowd. As you are aware, magic is cast with the circle. Mages manifest their spells by concentrating their mana and refining it in their circle. The truth is that aura is no different from magic. We all know that the mages manifest their superhuman powers by erupting their mana accumulated within their circle, but why haven't you considered applying the same method when manifesting your aura? If the aura knights learn to store their mana inside their core, not only can they erupt their aura but also use it meticulously depending on the situation. continued Roman. He condemned and ridiculed Alexander, who failed to recognize the optimal approach despite having a clear example before him. What you will see now isn't an uncontrolled eruption of the mana but a manifestation using the mana stored inside my core, just like a mage's circle. Whoosh! Roman manifested his mana. His aura coated the sword in his hand. It was unlike the aura the crowd had witnessed before. To their understanding, the aura equated with destructive power. That was why, for all these years, they believed an aura knight had to learn at least how to erupt one's mana and reach level 1 aura to display a strong impression. However, Roman's aura appeared completely different. On the contrary, his mana was calm and tranquil, like a lake. Its flow was so subtle that the crowd doubted it was the aura. But many amongst the crowd had heard that Dimitri's soldiers used a calm aura, unlike theirs. Though it didn't share the same traits as the typical aura, vehement and fierce, it was said to possess formidable power to slash down the enemies that stood in their way. The crowd's eyes trembled. They always knew there was something special about Roman's aura, but now that they saw it before their own eyes and heard how it worked, they couldn't easily believe their eyes. Then, Roman walked across the stage and approached the steel obstacle prepared in advance. He quickly sliced the metal piece into two without causing any explosion. Slash. Thwack. The steel was sliced into two. Some people covered their mouths in shock, watching the destructive power of his aura. According to Alexander, destroying the obstacle without an explosion should have been impossible. However, Roman sliced the thing like a cake, proving Alexander's approach wrong. Just like how people call the manifestation of mana stored inside your body magic, this approach of using the mana stored inside your core is called martial arts. I've gathered you here today to demonstrate this, stated Roman. Shing. Crowhair. He swung his blade one more time. The force manifested through Roman's re-established approach, which he called martial arts, instantly shredded the metal piece into dozens of pieces. The crowd undoubtedly believed they were standing in a new moment of history, like when Alexander first invented the aura. Chapter 297. Going Down in History. Part 3. Silence overshadowed the auditorium. The crowd was at a loss for words after witnessing the true power of martial arts manifested by the mana stored inside the core. Most people had come with a grain of salt when they first decided to attend the conference. Most didn't expect Roman Dimitri to openly reveal Dimitri's exclusive technique when they heard he invited the Kronos Empire. However, the truth before them was shocking. No matter how hard they tried to deny reality, the revolution to change the current swordsmanship was already upon them. Now, I'll take questions if you have any, said Roman Dimitri. One person in the corner slowly raised his hand. He stood up from his seat, reading Roman's gaze. Hello. I'm Sergei, the head of Salamander's Swordsmanship Society. I was deeply impressed by your theory and explanation. I also agree that using the core to store one's mana will be efficient, like how mages store theirs. However, your explanation has a fundamental flaw. How do you intend to explain the method to lead one's mana to the core and keep it stored? The mana isn't some energy we can freely control. The only way we can store it inside our body without a circle is by consuming our life force. Your theory is nothing but a delusion if we can't solve this fundamental problem. It was quite a provocative statement. Sergei racked his brain to think of whatever he could find to tackle Roman's theory. The issue you brought up can easily be solved if you consider why I chose the core to store the mana. There are several points in our body where the mana stops while circulating, and I summed them up into 3 sections. First is the brain, which is the upper core. The heart is the second, which can be defined as the middle core, and the third is the lower core below your belly button. If you have researched how to control your mana meticulously, you should be aware that these 3 parts have the force to bind and store mana. The upper core isn't the perfect place to store your mana since it can directly impact your brain, but the lower core is different. It has enough space to store enough mana, replied Roman. He showed no hesitation in answering Sergei's question. Sergei couldn't add another word to Roman's flawless logic, so he hurriedly changed the subject instead. Then. Why haven't you considered using the core to amplify the aura's destructive power rather than asserting His Majesty Alexander's approaching Rome? I believe we can realize positive results if we can harmonize the two methods, Sergei stated. No, that's not possible because the premise of his approach is invalid. I say Alexander's method is wrong because the reckless eruption of the mana causes an unnecessary waste of energy, cutting the aura's power in half. But if you use the core, you can learn to perfectly control your mana without wasting it. In other words, as long as you can keep your mana from leaking by wasting it through an unnecessary eruption, you should be able to use the aura to its fullest potential with even a small amount of mana. That is why I'm certain Alexander's approach is flawed, replied Roman. Martial arts were forged in Murim over centuries of history. There was no way an imitation created by Alexander could win against it. Sergei sensed that he was on the brink of losing this debate. He had to ask the question everyone was dire to ask, thinking he would lose his society if he let the demonstration end like this. All right. I admit your theory is quite remarkable. But can you explain why you're showing this to all of us? I mean, if there isn't any flaw to your approach, as you say, then why invite the Kronos Empire, a recent enemy of Dmitri, to this demonstration? Roman couldn't suppress his smile. Turning away from Sergei, he turned to the delegation of Kronos sitting in the back row. I don't have any particular reason. I just thought it would make Kronos' emperor's life much easier since he's constantly making the hassle of sending spies to uncover the information about Dmitri's technique. The borders of Dmitri aren't closed, and I intend to keep them that way. The moment I chose to teach the Dmitri soldiers martial arts, I knew it would be a matter of time before the information leaked. After all, the aura created by Alexander eventually spread across the continent. So I hope every state will take this opportunity to accept the new norm and flourish, Roman replied. Sergei was stunned. Roman chose to open a new world before everyone through the demonstration, knowing his technique would eventually spread across the continent. That marks the end of my demonstration, he stated. As soon as Roman finished his closing remarks, the crowd got up from their seats and burst into enthusiastic cheers. Among the emotional crowd stood Chris. Da-dum. Da-dum. He felt his heart thump. He felt subtle vibrations at first, but now his heart was recklessly beating, impossible for him to get a grip on. Let me ask you something then. While you were tirelessly training yourself to reach this point, have you ever had doubts about these training methods? He recalled what Roman said the day he explained the concept of the aura to the young lord. It was true that Chris raged after hearing the seemingly dismissive remarks at first. However, he was utterly stunned when Roman asked him why he would unquestioningly trust Alexander, a mere human just like himself. From then on, Chris constantly questioned himself and analyzed everything he learned. He even questioned Roman's guidance and only applied the things that appeared helpful to him. And through such a process, he managed to develop his technique and pioneered his own path. And now the knight felt his blood boil. Roman Dmitri was the first and only person to question Alexander's theory and proved everyone wrong by demonstrating his method, which even Chris initially doubted. Just look at the crowd fervently cheering. Like Chris, they doubted Roman's words in the past but now admitted that the aura framework had been redefined once the demonstration ended. Clench. Chris clenched his fist as he gazed up at Roman, the man leading the way of a new revolution and a leader who stood firm on his belief. He had no doubts about his leader, whom he remained loyal to. I know for certain that the day I surpass you, I will become the strongest on the continent. Roman Dmitri was Chris's idol, his most respected leader, and his ultimate goal. After the demonstration conference, the coalition leaders, including Roman, gathered in a room. The coalition leaders believed they had crossed the Rubicon, watching Roman stir a new swordsmanship revolution on the continent. There was no turning back. Roman openly defamed Alexander's legacy. And if Dmitri desired to survive within this new dynamic, its only chance was to develop a formidable force to counter Kronos. King Umberto raised his voice on behalf of his counterparts. I won't beat around the bushes. What do you intend to accomplish, Roman Dmitri? If you intended to condemn Kronos for its misdeeds, you clearly crossed the line today. Your demonstration was a provocation against Kronos. I understand that we can't stop the martial arts from spreading. However, as history has proven, you could have at least given us a heads up before confronting Kronos if you truly cared for our safety. So please be honest with us. Did you form this coalition to assure the safety of our kingdoms, or does Dmitri have ulterior motives? The king asked. Roman had humiliated Alexander's reputation through the demonstration. And though he had gained momentum for Dmitri to strive, it obviously had nothing to do with the coalition's survival. Both Kronos and Dmitri were predators in Umberto's eyes. Watching Roman humiliate Kronos by sharing the basis of his martial arts, King Umberto sensed the same intimidating atmosphere around Roman he felt from the Emperor of Kronos. What if Dmitri desired to become the new empire after destroying Kronos? Would the coalition be able to deter the dukedom? The king couldn't be sure. He was afraid Dmitri would become a new tyrant to replace the old. So, he had to raise the question, knowing that he and the coalition wouldn't be able to suppress Roman. I don't know how you perceive Dmitri right now, but Dmitri never chose this path for the sake of survival. The coalition was formed only because we, the kingdoms, shared a common interest. I hope to destroy Kronos and make Dmitri the strongest state on the continent. And because you sought survival from Kronos' wrath, we were able to unite as one in the name of this coalition temporarily, said Roman. So, are you saying you intend to walk down the same path as Kronos? The king asked. If you're referring to the apex where Kronos currently stands, I would say yes. I intend to take the empire's position. However, the future I seek is much different from Kronos's. If Dmitri succeeds in taking Kronos' place, I don't intend to force sacrifice and threaten other kingdoms. All I would ask of you is to admit that Dmitri is the strongest kingdom on Salamander. Nothing more. Ultimately, my goal is to respect each kingdom's sovereignty while Dmitri stands as the very foundation of Salamander, he replied. Roman stated the unthinkable. Some leaders couldn't hide their stunned faces at his aspiration to become the strongest on the continent. King Umberto nervously gulped his dry throat. Roman's blunt statement convinced him that he had made the right choice. He knew Roman wouldn't fabricate false intentions to fool the leaders. A superpower that doesn't persecute nor force sacrifices from other states. If Dmitri becomes a neutral state that acts as the foundation of this continent, as you said, that might actually be the utopian world we all have dreamed of. But how can we trust you on this? After all, both Kronos and Valhalla were mere kingdoms like us before gaining power. However, it didn't take long for them to forget their promises and rule over us like predators once they obtained power. History had proved that the powerful always desired to be rightfully respected as the powerful. In other words, the weak were always the ones to be sacrificed for the sake of the strong. Thus, the kingdoms couldn't help feeling threatened by Roman's promises. I'm not going to sugarcoat a word I say. Kronos' ambition has reached a fever pitch, and we will inevitably be forced to make a choice. Someone will have to seize the moment when Kronos falls. And equality can never be fully realized in this world ruled by humans. History proves that there will always be a predator who will try to rule over others, as King Umberto mentioned. Frankly, Dmitri doesn't intend to be equal with you. Rather, we desire to become the strongest kingdom and rule the continent, but different from Kronos. So, it is up to you to decide whether to trust me or not. Kronos or Dmitri, you can decide for your own sake. Dmitri will decide whether to sustain this coalition, depending on your decisions. If our goals no longer coincide, then I believe it's meaningless for us to continue this coalition, don't you agree? Said Roman. Now, it was up to the leaders to decide their fates. They were lost in their thoughts, knowing the continent's future was on the line. Either to live as equals or to sustain their lives in return for serving Dmitri as the new superpower. The two choices laid out by Roman carried completely opposite nuances. The leaders couldn't easily make up their minds. It wasn't an easy matter for the leaders of such weak kingdoms after listening to Roman's aspirations. In the end, it was Edwin Hector who broke the silence. I don't believe Roman Dmitri organized his swordsmanship demonstration just to send a message to Kronos alone. He admitted that he's willing to open Dmitri to the world rather than to hide it. If any of us had discovered the martial arts before anyone else, we would have tried to take advantage of it by hiding its secrets from others as long as possible. However, Dmitri confidently revealed everything to us and its enemies. I believe this proves Dmitri's exceptional potential. Dmitri isn't a state that will remain a mere kingdom in the future, the prince said. As Edwin stated, Roman had intentionally shared the secrets of his technique with the world. Instead of just focusing on one tree, he saw the forest, already predicting every possibility that would follow the moment he demonstrated his sword art. Whether we like it or not, we will be forced to make a decision eventually. Unlike Kronos, who has constantly threatened us over the years, Dmitri at least gave us faith. It's, in fact, a simple issue. If Dmitri is the only way for us to escape Kronos' misdeeds, Hector will gladly offer our future for Dmitri's sake. He boldly stated his decision. Once Edwin said his firm statement, Daniel Cairo and King Redford immediately followed. Cairo has always been on the same boat as Dmitri. We will follow Roman Dmitri and put our trust in Dmitri until the very end, Daniel Cairo added. To be honest, Redford would be here today if it weren't for Dmitri's help. If a reliable state is what we seek to support the continent, I strongly believe that must be none other than Dmitri, King Redford stated. Their voices supported Edwin Hector. With the majority of the leaders expressing their thoughts to support Dmitri, King Umberto and Frank weren't left with much option. It wasn't because they were forced to go with the flow, rather, Edwin's words moved their hearts. This marked the beginning of the true coalition of the kingdoms. Blink. Meanwhile, Alexander opened his eyes after disconnecting his mind from the pawns he had sent to attend Roman's swordsmanship demonstration. His eyes were smeared with shock from what he had witnessed. Roman's declaration had left Alexander utterly stunned. Chapter 298. Going Down in History. Part 4. Alexander was at the swordsmanship demonstration from the beginning, though not in person. He was utterly mind-blown the instant he heard the word core from Roman Dmitri's mouth. The martial arts isn't that difficult to practice. All you have to do is use the energy inside your body. He recalled the words the third-rate martial artist told him back in Murim. To his understanding, not once did the man say anything regarding the core when explaining the basic martial arts method. Come to think of it now, the man who introduced himself as a martial artist looked shabby and seemed crafty with his words. Thinking over the whole incident, Alexander realized that the man might have not been an actual martial artist. There was no way a man who called himself a third-rate martial artist would know the most basic method with only a smattering knowledge of martial arts. Without profound knowledge, the man spoke about the martial arts while leaving out the core. However, he would have never thought that one of his spectators would end up traveling to another dimension to become Alexander. Alexander felt devastated to learn that his most splendid achievement had started from the absurd words of a foolish man. He wasn't even aware that something like the core existed in a human body. And because he didn't know how to use his core, he created the aura by combining his knowledge with salamanders, an energy manifested by exploding the mana inside one's body. He felt ashamed, and his pride undermined, watching Roman ridicule his knowledge before everyone on the stage. Roman openly criticized and humiliated the mysterious being for not knowing the most essential thing to manifest one's mana. Alexander finally understood why Roman had decided to reveal the martial arts to the world. The concept of martial arts and the core was literally the most basic form of knowledge in Murim. He must have known no harm could be done to him and his influence, even if he shared it with the world. Just think about it. There were countless masters of martial arts in central Murim. And every single one of them had developed their own martial arts over generations to form their own sects. The legacy they had made was deep and profound. In other words, it was impossible for Salamander to catch up to the generations of history Murim had built, even if the people finally learned how to use the core. Of course, the knights would do their best to improve themselves by applying the new method. However, Roman Dmitri was already far too ahead in this race for them to catch up. Pansiok Kim, no, Alexander's previous life was beyond pitiful. His dreadful past was like his Achilles heel, which he wanted to hide. That was why he wanted to start anew and promised to build a glamorous life in this new world. He felt genuinely proud of his accomplishments, particularly his creator of the Aura title. He was delighted with his new life as everyone revered him. The reason he still had a heart for martial arts even now as he lived on as a mage was because he had so much pride in his accomplishments. However, that very pride was shattered and humiliated by Roman. He still didn't know who Roman Dmitri was, but was confident the young Dmitri would be able to achieve even greater things than him, believing he was at least a top-tier martial artist. Eventually, Alexander's name would be forgotten, only to be remembered as a symbol of decadence. He would no longer be remembered as a legend or discussed when discussing the Aura's history. Roman Dmitri opened up a new era, which implied the end of Alexander's once proud reputation as the creator of the Aura and the father of the Aura Knights. His body trembled in anger. He felt infuriated. The Emperor of Kronos would have meekly accepted his bitter reality if he were the same Panseok Kim. However, he was no longer the foolish man he used to be but the proud Alexander, the creator of the Aura. I see what you were trying to do there, Roman Dmitri. You must have wanted to humiliate me and my accomplishments through your demonstration. You are nothing but a mere ant compared to me in Salamander, no matter who you were in Murim. Just look at you, full of yourself, thinking you're some martial arts master with the knowledge from your previous life. Remember that I can easily crush you whenever I desire in this world. You've made a mistake revealing the martial arts to this world. I'll show you what I'm capable of with the speck of knowledge you shared. I'm the Emperor of Kronos who created something out of nothing. It was a matter of pride. Alexander was confident he would easily burn Salamander to ashes a year after he finished his preparations. But above all, he wanted to trounce Roman Dmitri and his petty accomplishments with his own hands by developing his martial arts. Image memory, he whispered. Whoosh. As he manifested his mana, his surroundings began to shift. A fragment of memory inside Alexander's mind materialized before his eyes as the space around him changed. Alexander rewound his memory to the moment his troops fought against Dmitri on the west battlefield to study Roman Dmitri's martial arts. Watching him crush his 300,000 men head-on with his reigning footstep of the divine demon was beyond overwhelming. Crash. Rumble. It was a lopsided slaughter. The earth shook whenever he stepped forward, and the imperial troops were obliterated from the face of the world without a cry whenever he swung his blade. It was an overwhelming sight to watch. No other word could better describe the tragic scene occurring before his eyes. Alexander was awed as he watched the battle through Sulphur's eyes, synchronized with the Shadow's mind. All this time, he thought the rumors about the legendary martial artists from the 100,000 Mountains to be fake or exaggerated, but Roman proved him wrong by realizing it on the battleground. Roman Dmitri is at least a top-tier martial artist. I still can't grasp the root of his martial arts. The Emperor whispered as he watched the battle. The techniques used by Roman reminded Alexander of no one. He was undoubtedly a fool who had zero knowledge regarding Murim. The only martial artists he was familiar with were the leaders of the 961 clan and the Divine Demon, the head of the demonic cult. In particular, he had heard countless times about what the Divine Demon had achieved. After all, he lived right below the 100,000 Mountains. It was impossible for him not to know about the Divine Demon's legacy since everyone in town praised him. Nevertheless, Alexander didn't think Roman was that Divine Demon. To his understanding, the Divine Demon was a god, thus, he assumed Roman to be a high-ranked subordinate, observing his strength. But Alexander knew not much about the Divine Demon. With his petty knowledge, he didn't exactly know how to distinguish martial artists that were top-tier and higher. In the end, there wasn't much he could obtain from his memory. He wanted to see how Roman used his core to manifest his aura, but it was far more complicated than he had thought. It wasn't easy to analyze. He felt frustrated. He had finally reached a realm considered divine once establishing a level 9 circle. However, to his dismay, martial arts was a completely different world from magic. Alexander truly deserved the credit for creating the aura. If he never had the potential as a martial artist, He wouldn't have been able to invent such a power with some petty advice from a third-rate martial artist in the first place. Perhaps he could have become even more potent than Roman Dmitri if he had received the proper martial arts training, so much so that he wouldn't have had to walk this path as a mage. This had nothing to do with his ambition to conquer the continent. He was driven by his personal desire to show Roman Dmitri his formidable martial arts and win his recognition. His surroundings began to shift once more. He returned to reality. Then, Alexander called for Mystic and gave his order. "Tell our spies who have infiltrated into Dmitri. They must use every means possible to uncover every information they can find about the martial arts. In the name of the Emperor of Kronos, I promise that those who succeed will be rewarded with enough wealth to enjoy the rest of their lives." "Yes, Your Majesty," Mystic replied. Alexander had no choice but to admit the bitter reality before him. He needed a little more detail. Only when he could surpass Roman Dmitri with his martial arts could Alexander relieve the strong sense of inferiority burning inside his heart. Meanwhile, Roman Dmitri's proclamation shocked the world. A new swordsmanship revolution broke out. It indeed was a revolution. The aura, which stood as the continent's foundation for generations, had been redefined, and the people couldn't help but be attracted to what Roman Dmitri would do next. Not even Alexander, the creator of the aura, initially shared the information about the aura. But Roman Dmitri was different. Not only did he freely share his knowledge with the world, but he also revealed it to his enemies. People across the world flooded the streets to talk about Roman. What now for the Aura Knights? What do you mean? Isn't it obvious? Those who succeed in mastering this thing called the core and quickly adjust to the new norm will survive, and evidently, those who don't will vanish. We're now entering a new age of upheaval. You wait and see. The prevailing belief was that the current ranking system wouldn't experience drastic change, but not anymore. The knights who swiftly adjust to this new technique will push out those who fail to read the trend at the top and replace them. I wonder what is in Roman Dmitri's mind. Why would he share such valuable knowledge with other states? Who cares? At least he proved to everyone the root of his dramatic growth through this demonstration. Don't you get it? This isn't just some demonstration conference to share his technique with others. Aura Knights who seek to improve their skills like Roman Dmitri and refuse to lag behind will have no choice but to vow their allegiance to him. In other words, the balance of power is poised to shift toward Dmitri rapidly. As people described, the balance of power had shifted toward Dmitri. Roman had simply shared the basic concept of the core in his demonstration. Ultimately, the details of his martial arts remained hidden in Dmitri. Thus, Aura Knights across the continent headed to Dmitri. Aura Knights, believed to be weaker than mages, thought they could start a new life by jumping onto Roman's bandwagon. Roman saw through the situation perfectly with his keen judgment. In an instant, he surpassed Alexander's reputation and became a leader whom countless knights admired by sharing a concept considered insignificant in Murim. The dukedom of Dmitri was no longer a small kingdom out on the outskirts. It was now called the Holy Land amongst Aura Knights. And a clear message was sent to the world as people flooded into its lands. The once bipolarity established between Kronos and Valhalla existed no more. For the first time in Salamander's history, the spheres on the continent were being shifted and redesigned toward a tripolarity between Kronos, Valhalla, and Dmitri. Tap. The magic telegram tapped off. Scott's face was clouded with anxiety as he put down the device. The spy from Kronos felt devastated. "So, I'm to steal information regarding the martial arts?" the man said in distress. He received orders from the higher-ups. His mission was to steal whatever information regarding martial arts he found useful by using all means possible. However, he feared his identity could have been already exposed. Roman had tracked down the spies hiding among the contenders in the final test. Those who willingly revealed themselves were spared. But those who chose to keep their mouths closed, like Scott, were still accepted into Dmitri's army. Scott's heart still thumped in fear whenever he thought of that moment. Although Roman had never specifically mentioned his name, the spy instinctively knew he was exposed. Roman Dmitri is no ordinary man. Not only did he pay no heed to a spy still hiding, but he also willingly shared the information we came here to steal, risking our lives. In other words, it must mean that Dmitri won't be affected even if we steal anything from this land. So, should I continue this mission as ordered by Kronos? But what if Dmitri surpasses the Empire and gains hegemony in the future? He couldn't make up his mind, feeling confused. He didn't have the courage to refuse when he first received orders from the Empire. But now things had changed. Roman had wholly altered the situation by organizing the swordsmanship demonstration, and even the spies were saying of a possible new power dynamic, the beginning of a tripolarity. Plus, all the kingdoms on the continent, except Odelia, had declared to follow Roman Dmitri. The risks of this concerned him no more. Instead, Scott began questioning his decision to entrust his and his family's future to Kronos. Just a few years ago, it was unimaginable even to consider trying to stand up against Kronos' authority. However, Roman Dmitri accomplished the unprecedented. The shock he stirred began to destroy the existing power structure slowly. I should go to Dmitri for now and decide whether to continue Kronos' mission after spending some time there. Suppose Dmitri indeed possesses the potential to destroy Kronos. In that case, I'll have to seriously consider how I can help my family escape the Empire instead of worrying about stealing Dmitri's knowledge. Scott knew he was standing at the crossroads. But he couldn't easily make up his mind now. After all, it wasn't easy to abandon Kronos and follow Dmitri, no matter how much the world had changed. Scott arrived in Dmitri the following day. Every single one of the applicants who passed the final test agreed to serve as a soldier of Dmitri.